Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Tion and today we're going to be figuring out whether you can beat Pokemon Firered / Leafgreen with only a Horsea. If we take a look at Horsea's stats, its special attack and defense isn't too bad and its speed's at 60, which isn't too bad either, but our special defense is all the way down at 25. Our special defense and HP are really low, so if we get hit with an electric type attack, which are all special in Generation 3, we're going to take a lot of damage. We might be able to work something out with that special attack though. Horsea's learn set only makes this challenge more difficult. There are only a couple good moves here that we can learn, which is Hydro Pump and Dragon Dance, and Dragon Dance is going to be useless for us since we're going to be attacking specially. Hydro Pump does some really good damage all the way up at 120, but our accuracy is only at 80% and we only get 5 PP, so there's almost no way we're going into the Elite Four like that. Of course, that's assuming that we'll get to the Elite Four. Horsea could at least learn a few decent moves via HM and TM, being Ice Beam and Surf, of course. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the rules. Rule number 1, of course, is no using other Pokemon in battle besides Horsea. Rule number 2 is no using items in battle. Held items are going to be allowed though. And last but not least, no hacking or cheating of any kind. And with the same boring, repetitive intro out of the way, let's get into this run, guys. Like always, we try to go into the tall grass, but Oak saves us at the last second. I end up replacing Squirtle for this one and replace it with Horsea. That way our rival will choose Bulbasaur, giving us the hardest challenge. Since I am the king of nicknames, I decided to give Horsea the best nickname I could think of, and it's off to the rival fight. The move I start out with is Bubble, and of course for this rival fight, it's not going to go very well considering Bulbasaur resists our water type attacks. Bulbasaur eventually ends up tackling us to death and we end up losing, but this battle's not necessary to win, so no harm, no foul. Although Bubble made us lose our first rival battle, it's definitely going to come in handy because Brock is the rock type gym leader, and once we actually make it to him, it's going to go awful for him. After defeating this mandatory trainer in Viridian Forest who has the level 9 Weedle, we end up leveling up to level 9 and then we decide to go take on Brock. Just to get some extra EXP, I end up taking on the only other trainer in Brock's gym just to get the level 10. Brock's first Pokemon is a Geodude at level 12 who does have the level advantage on us, but we end up doing massive amounts of damage with Bubble, taking him out in only 2 hits. After Geodude is defeated, Horsea levels up to level 11, and next up is Onyx at level 14. Onyx ends up going for Bind here, missing his attack. I hit him with Bubble, he goes for Binds again, misses, and then I finish him off with one more Bubble. That was literally a flawless battle, and we did not take a single point of damage. In Mount Moon, I have to pick a fossil, so I end up picking the Helix fossil because it's best for the YouTube algorithm. I can already feel the comments pouring in. Once I make it to Cerulean City, I have to fight my rival, and I think I'm gonna do okay, but Pidgeotto ends up switching out, and Bulbasaur one-hit KOs us. Well, it's time to grind. 11 levels later, I decide to try our rival once again. Thanks to chat for keeping me company. Pidgeotto goes down with only 2 water guns, and next up is Bulbasaur, who I use Smoke Screen on, lowering his accuracy, but he still connects with a Vine Whip. If we get hit one more time, I knew we were going down, so I just kept spamming Smoke Screen, and somehow he kept missing all of his Vine Whips. 100 Smoke Screens later, and I just completely blinded this poor Bulbasaur and ended up going for Water Gun to do some damage. And somehow, I got lucky enough where Bulbasaur ended up missing all of its attacks, and we finally finish it off with Water Guns. After Bulbasaur went down, I knew this was going to be a pretty easy battle because of course Abra doesn't have any moves, and I end up one-hit KOing him, and next up is Rattata, who also gets one-hit KO'd with Water Gun. This was a pretty hard battle, but Misty was a lot worse. You could actually skip Misty entirely until you want to battle Lieutenant Surge, so I knew I could grind on plenty of trainers once I defeated my rival. I eventually find my way to Bill's house, and he gives us the SS ticket so we could aboard the SSN. And even though I just beat my rival, I find him again on the SSN and have the battle once again. I'm all the way up at level 35 now, and I do have a new move, Twister, which is definitely going to be helpful with Bulbasaur. And oops, I meant Ivysaur. Okay. Ivysaur ends up going for Sleep Powder here and misses, and I get a flinch and a critical hit with Twister and finish it off with one more Twister. Next out is Raticate, and I end up using Water Gun twice, and apparently that was too much because he ends up dying. Last up is Kadabra, and I almost take it out with one hit using Water Gun, and he uses Confusion, doing a decent amount of damage, but one more Water Gun is enough to take it out. After I cure the captain of his seasickness, he ends up giving me HMO 1 cut. The only reason this is necessary is because our character is physically unable to step past small trees. I still don't have my second gym badge yet, so I make my way back to Misty and take her on using Twister. Obviously, this went considerably well since I'm all the way up at level 36 now. Staryu goes down only after a few Twisters, and next up is Starmie at level 21, who takes a Twister relatively well, but it still ends up doing a lot of damage. As long as I don't get confused here, I know I'm fine, and luckily I don't end up getting confused, and after spamming Twister for a while, I finally end up defeating Starmie. I then get the Cascade badge for Misty. I'm able to use Cut outside of battle now, and we go straight to Lieutenant Surge. I honestly thought Lieutenant Surge was going to be easy, but Raichu was able to tank a Water Pulse, the TM we got from Misty, and then retaliate with a Shock Wave, one-hit KOing us. I really don't want to rely on luck for this battle, so I end up grinding all the way up to level 41, so our level advantage is even greater, and we end up one-shotting Voltorb and Pikachu relatively easy. Raichu went better than expected. I hit it with Water Pulse and I did a lot of damage. We end up getting paralyzed here, but we end up connecting with another Water Pulse, confusing him, and then he has to use a full heal, and we take him out with one more Water Pulse. Now that we're at level 41, I don't think he would have been able to one-shot us with Shockwave, but he didn't even try, so we don't even have to worry about it. Next, I found my way through Arc Tunnel, and it actually wasn't too bad considering I had a water type. Next, I make my way to the Rocket Hideout. Because this is the first time we are fighting Giovanni, he has 2 Pokemon that are weak to water, so this battle shouldn't be too difficult. Also, we are level 46, so the chances of him surviving any attacks we do are slim to none. Onyx goes down with 1 Water Pulse, and next up is a Rhyhorn at level 24 who also goes down to 1 Water Pulse. After Rhyhorn is taken out, next up is Kangaskhan. Now, Kangaskhan is not actually weak to water, but it still should do a good amount of damage. Kangaskhan doesn't even take half HP here as we get hit with a Tail Whip, so I end up using Hydro Pump. It actually connects, and I take it out. And with Giovanni out of the way, let's take on Erica next. Before I take on Erica, I want to get the TM for Ice Beam, which you could get in the Celadon Game Corner, and since I'm broke, I have the gamble to actually get enough credits to actually buy it. This did take a very long time because it cost 4,000 credits, but eventually I did get lucky enough and we end up getting Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to be great throughout this run for coverage, especially against Erica and our rival. And because we got Ice Beam, Erica was a complete joke. Since we are at level 47, we are able to spam Ice Beam and one-hit KO all of her Pokemon. Getting to Erica at such a high level definitely is beneficial. And with Erica out of the way, we're gonna head back to the Lost Tower and take on our rival. Our rival, of course, leads off with a Pidgeotto at level 25, so I'll take it out with an Ice Beam. Next up is Ivysaur, who also goes down to an Ice Beam, and next up is Gyarados, so I just decided to use Ice Beam on him as well. Since he is part flying, it is neutral and actually does pretty good damage. Rowlet is out next at level 22, so I take it out with a Water Pulse, and last but not least is Kadabra at level 20, who goes down to 1 critical Water Pulse as well. That was easier than I expected. After killing Marowak for a second time, I end up getting Mr. Fuji out of the Lost Tower, and he gives us a Poke Flute to thank us. That brings us to Koga. Now, Koga actually did take a few tries, even though we were overleveled at this point, because we kept getting toxic and poisoned, and eventually we just get stalled out by Muck, but this run I actually get pretty lucky. I take down the Coughing relatively easy, and I actually end up not missing any of my attacks on Muck, taking it out. I then hit Coughing with a Water Pulse as it barely survives and then gets healed up, hits us with a Smoke Screen, but we take it out with 1 more Water Pulse. Next up is Wheezing, and I hit it with a strong Water Pulse, and then I get Toxic to miss my Hydro Pump, get hit with Sludge, but then I connect with the second Hydro Pump to take it out. And I literally just remembered after this battle that I should have got Surf beforehand, so this battle would be a lot easier. Like always, I head over to the Safari Zone after and pick up the Golden Teeth and the TM for Double Team. Also pick up Surf, which is necessary to progress through the game, but since Horsea can learn it, it's going to be a valuable part of our moveset. Usually I just teach it to an HM slave, but Surf in this game is actually a pretty decent move. Next up is Silphco, and our rival really did cause us a few issues because of his Venusaur. Ice Beam would always take out the Pidgeot and it would do a lot of damage to Venusaur, but he would never get one-hit KO'd, but this time I end up getting a freeze. Luckily he doesn't thaw out instantly and I take him out next turn. Next up is Gyarados, and once again we really don't have a good move against him, so we end up going for Ice Beam, and it actually does a pretty good chunk as we use Twister and then finish him off with 1 more Ice Beam. I still haven't taught Horsea Surf yet, so I end up going for Water Pulse, taking out Growlithe in 1 hit, and next up is Alakazam, who goes down to 1 Hydro Pump. This battle took around 10 attempts, so it definitely could have went a lot worse. I then pick up the free Lapras and name it Horsea, because I don't have a good reason, I just did. Now that our rival's out of the way, next up is Giovanni, and I do have Ice Beam and Water Pulse and Hydro Pump, so I have a pretty good selection of moves to take care of him. Nidorino goes down with 1 Water Pulse and Ice Beam, and Nidoqueen also goes down with 1 Water Pulse and Ice Beam. I also got an unnecessary crit, and that was super nice, but not really necessary. Next out is Kangaskhan, and I get hit with a strong Fake Out, actually doing a lot of damage as I try to take him out with a combination of Water Pulse and Hydro Pump, and eventually I do. Last out is Rhyhorn, and I take him out with 1 Water Pulse, and that was a pretty close battle because that Kangaskhan did a ton of damage. Next up is Sabrina, and I do have a vast level advantage over her, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna go good. Kadabra goes down with 1 Surf, and next up is Mr. Mime at level 37, who almost goes down to 1 Surf, but then gets healed up after using Calm Mind. I use Surf 2 more times to take it out. Next up is Venomous, so I end up going for Ice Beam here, and he hits me with Psy Beam, and then I hit it with 1 more Ice Beam to take it out. And last up is Alakazam, who goes down to 1 Hydro Pump. That was actually my first attempt, so I'm pretty happy with that. Next up is Blaine, so I get the secret key, so I can actually get inside of the gym and get every single question wrong, and now it's time to fight Blaine. Now obviously Blaine was super easy because we are a water type and this is a fire type gym, so every single time I attacked, I end up one-hit KOing all of his Pokemon. Not only do we have super effective moves against him, we are level 60 now once we defeat Rapidash, so that means there's just no way he has anything that could survive. In case you haven't noticed yet, we did replace Water Pulse with Surf, and it's definitely the better option. And one disappointing gym battle later, we defeat Blaine. And last but not least is Giovanni, the 8th and final gym leader, who is the ground type gym leader, so this is gonna go just as easy as Blaine, hopefully. Rhyhorn and Duck Trio both go down to 1 Surf, and we level up to level 62. Next out is Nidoqueen at level 44, and it goes down to 1 Surf as well. Next out is Nidoking at level 45, who goes down to 1 Surf, and last but not least is his other Rhyhorn at level 50, who goes down to 1 Surf. And that battle went exactly as everyone expected it to go. And with Giovanni out of the way and getting the 8th and final gym match, we have to face our rival one more time before we take on Victory Road. And we didn't even get close. Okay. I decided to grind up in the Pokemon Mansion just because I think this is the easiest way, and there's no way at our current level that we're easily going to be able to beat our rival. At the magical level 69, I decided to try once again. I'm able to one-shot Pidgeot with an Ice Beam, and next up is Venusaur at level 53, who also goes down to 1 critical Ice Beam. Next out is Rhyhorn, and he of course goes down to 1 Surf. And next out is Gyarados, who always causes us an issue, so we just end up going for Ice Beam here, not doing as much as I would like as he hits with a Hydro Pump and again, but we finish him off with 3 Ice Beams. Next out is Growlithe, who obviously goes down to 1 Surf, and last up is Alakazam. I think I'm going to be able to one-shot Alakazam with Surf, but I'm wrong, and he takes me out with a Psychic. Fantastic. A few attempts later, I actually make it back to Alakazam and hit him with a Hydro Pump, taking him out. Now that our rival's out of the way, it's Victory Road time. Luckily, I do Victory Road perfectly and don't have to fight any trainers. I also know that even with these rare candies that I've saved up throughout this entire playthrough, that I don't think it's gonna be enough, so I decided to go get leftovers as well. It takes a very long time because I haven't caught any Pokemon up until this point, but I finally get the item finder and pick up leftovers. Leftovers restores 1/16 of your HP every single time, and I have a cheesy strategy I need leftovers for to get past Lorelei. I end up teaching Horsea Toxic because this is the only viable way I could think of to actually get past Lorelei. I also give Horsea all the rare candies I've collected up until this point, and now I'm at level 78. Let's just say Lorelei was an absolute pain to deal with. Over the course of many attempts, I could not beat her. Like, I even decided to use Double Team just to try to get past Lorelei, and it just was not happening. Luck at the beginning definitely wasn't on my side. In the end, I decided to go get a few extra items and a few extra levels as well. Finally, at level 81, I was able to use the lamest strategy known to man to beat Lorelei. The main problem with Lorelei was her Dugong and Slowbro, but finally I end up defeating them and getting the Lapras at full HP. This battle literally took forever. I used speed up through some of this battle and it still was awful because if I didn't pay attention, I was gonna lose. Out of all the runs I did before, Lorelei has never been this difficult. It definitely didn't help when Lorelei kept throwing 4 restores around, but eventually we got lucky enough to defeat her. If any other of these Elite 4 battles go like this, I'm definitely gonna go crazy. If you guys don't mind, leave a like for my suffering, because I do it for you. Next up is Bruno, and I know a couple of his Pokemon are rock type, so a Surf is gonna take those out, but the only one we really need to worry about is Machamp. Onyx and Hitmonchan both go down to a Surf, and next up is Hitmonlee, who lives a Surf just barely and hits us with a Brick Break, and then gets healed up with a full restore. I end up going for Ice Beam here, and the next turn I end up taking it out with a Surf. After Hitmonlee's out of the way, next up is Machamp, the only one we really have to worry about. I hit it with a Surf, doing a lot of damage, but it goes for Scary Face, and we still outspeed, so we take it out next turn. Last up is Onyx, and of course he doesn't stand a chance and goes down to 1 Ice Beam. Next up is Agatha, and I really don't think I'm gonna have a problem with her, but we'll see. I forgot to mention I did use a PP up on Surf a little bit ago, and I also used some PP restoring items for this battle. First up is Gengar, who gets hit with a Surf, gets healed up, and then gets taken out with another Surf and Ice Beam. Next up is Golbat, and I end up hitting it with a super effective Ice Beam to take it out in 1 hit, and next up is Arbok, so I end up going for Surf here, doing a ton of damage and finishing it off with another Surf. Next out is her other Gengar that I hit with Surf, doing a lot of damage as it returns with a Sludge Bomb poisoning us, and then we take it out with another Surf. If Haunter lands a hit, we're definitely going down, so I use Surf here and just cross my fingers, and luckily it is enough to take it out. Both Bruno and Agatha went down with only 1 try, and I'm super happy that happened because Lorelei almost drove me insane. The last member of the Elite Four is Lance, and of course he does have Dragon types, but we have Ice Beam, so I'm not really sure how this one's gonna go. Of course Lance leads off with a Gyarados that we don't really have anything good to hit it with, so we hit it with Toxic and then Surf, almost taking it out, and then he hits us with a Hyper Beam, leaving us with just a little bit of HP. After it goes down, next up is Dragonair, who surprisingly goes down to an Ice Beam. Next up is the other Dragonair, who also goes down to another Ice Beam, and Leftovers is healing us as well. Next up is Dragonite, and he's 4 times weak to Ice Beam, so he definitely goes down, and last up is Aerodactyl. I use Surf on Aerodactyl, and it's a one-shot, so we completely sweep this team besides that stupid Gyarados. And with Lance out of the way, guys, we only have 1 battle left, the champion battle, so if you enjoyed so far, make sure to hit that like button below, and let's see if we could do it. The champion leads off with a level 59 Pidgeot, so I end up using Ice Beam, doing a lot of damage as we get hit with a Sand Attack. Of course, he then heals up the Pidgeot to full health with a full restore, but then I take it out with an Ice Beam next turn. Next out is Venusaur at level 63, so I end up going for Ice Beam here, but for some reason he ends up going for Solar Beam, which is a 2-turn move, so we have time to take it out. Next up is Alakazam Alakazam, and I really didn't think this guy was going to be a big deal because Surf did a lot of damage to him, but he ends up surviving and then hits us with a Psychic, literally one-shotting us. I definitely didn't expect to get one-shotted from Alakazam. Next time I make it to Alakazam, I end up going for Surf, but he goes for Future Sight, which is fine with me because I take him out next turn. Next out's Rhyhorn, who gets one-shot with a Surf, and next out is Gyarados, who I've always had a problem with. Long story short, this Gyarados was just too much for me, and we ended up going down to a Hydro Pump. Many attempts later, I finally get the Gyarados once again with a few double teams set up, so this time we actually have a chance if Alakazam didn't hit us with a flippin' Future Sight doing so much damage. At this point, I pretty much accepted that we were gonna lose. I was just trying just for fun, but I actually end up taking out Gyarados with 3 Ice Beams this time. I really didn't expect that, so next up is Arcanine, and he obviously goes down to 1 Surf, and, well, surprisingly enough, on a run with almost no HP, we ended up defeating the champion and winning with only a Horsea. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button below. I would really appreciate it, and if you want to see a specific challenge run done, please leave them in the comments below. Also, special thanks to Torture the Gamer, Cygnus the Wizard, The Chosen Toon, Michael Harris, Woofle, Mama Cat, Brace Minnow, and Tom G for being a Master Tier supporter. Also, huge shout out to Neva for donating so much throughout the streams this past month. But seriously guys, thanks a ton for watching, like I said, and if you enjoyed, leave a like below, helps the channel out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, peace out guys, see you next time.